Hello, let me start by introducing myself. My name's Ben Brown. I'm an independent author that's been working in the industry for about 10 years now. Over those 10 years, I've used a lot of different pieces of software to create my novels. Some were good, others not so good. But what they all had in common was they lacked certain features that I wanted. Then, about 2 years ago, I discovered Papyrus Author, and I've never looked back. Papyrus Author is absolutely jam-packed with everything you could want as an author. It's got style checkers, grammar checkers, timelines, research databases, character databases, you name it. I absolutely love this software, and this is the reason I wanted to do these tutorials, is to try and get across to you, potential new users, how great this software is. It can do everything. It can even produce extremely professional finished products like ebooks and paperbacks. So with all that said, let's jump straight in and take an overview of what Papyrus can offer. Okay, so the first thing I think I want to talk about is how great Papyrus Author is at handling really large documents. This one's nearly 97,000 words, and I can navigate through it really quick. And also, if I was to drag and drop one of these scenes or chapters around, it will move that text as quick as you can drag and drop it. When I first started writing, I used Word. I started out using Word, and what I found was as soon as your novels got to any real size, especially during the formatting for exporting process, it became really sluggish. That doesn't apply with Papyrus. Papyrus is always fast, no matter what you're doing. My last book was 215,000 words, and when I exported that to paperback, doing all the formatting that was required, it took me like 15 or 20 minutes. With Word, that used to take me, it could take me a day. And if something went wrong, if I had to change the size of the page, for instance, it was like starting from scratch. What I also like about Papyrus is the pinboards that sit down either side of your main document. These are for your note taking, for things like sticky notes. These are snippets, so these are elements of text that I've dragged out of the document and might want to use at a later stage, so I can simply drag them straight in again. And you can have as many pinboards to either side of your main document as you want. And I tend to use these for to-do lists, odd notes and sticky notes and so on. I find this really useful to have so that you can look at your notes at a glance as you're working on your main document. Another great feature about the pinboard is how easy it is to change their appearance. You have a selection of predefined backgrounds to choose from, or you could even do what I do. I like to choose the backgrounds for my book covers, and all I do is I go to Tile, and there we go, close. So you can really configure your pinboards to however you like. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is if you like to plan out your book in advance, or whether you're a pantser like me. I just sort of have an idea, then just roll with it and develop the book as I go. But if you, in either case, a brilliant tool to use is Thinkboard. Now, what Thinkboard is, it's basically Papyrus's mind mapping portion of the software. So the way I use it is because, like I say, I'm a pantser. If I get issues and problems, I tend to put those issues and problems into Thinkboard, and then I sort of can move the bubbles and the thought bubbles around until I see how to resolve my issues. If you want to plan out fully in advance, well, you can do that as well. You can completely outline your book using Thinkboard, then drag those elements from Thinkboard into your main document, and it will automatically generate your chapters and scenes with any notes you've attached to those Thinkboard elements. The next thing I want to talk about is research. So the research database in Papyrus Author is really extensive, and it uses plugins that work in both Chrome and Firefox. And as soon as you create a piece of research, you can store it in either the global documents, which is kind of like research for your entire book, or to a specific point in a chapter or scene. So as you saw, I just clicked on that piece of research and I can go straight back to that original piece of research just by selecting to open the browser, and that will take me straight back to my original research. So while I'm talking about databases, again, Papyrus Author has really extensive character databases for you to create really elaborate characters, but not only that, you can create things and places. So by default, Papyrus Author comes with these 3 main tables, but as you can see, I've created another 3 of my own. Whatever you're creating, whether it's a character, an item, a location, or whatever, it completely links into your main document and throughout your Navigator and everywhere else in your project. So it's completely interactive, and all of these link directly back to a main the characters in your character database. So if I right click on it, it will instantly open the character relating to that link. So all your characters, characters, locations and items are fully interactive throughout your book. So what I'm going to look at again now is the Navigator. So obviously the Navigator is exactly what it says on the tin. You use it to navigate through your book. But it also has a kind of a big brother, which is the Organizer. So the Organizer is a great tool for giving you a really in-depth overview of your entire novel. Not only that, it's where you can make major changes like creating characters, new scenes, chapters and so on, all from within the Organizer. And it can be completely detached from Papyrus and drag it off to another monitor if you wish, which is how I use it. So the Organizer is a really powerful tool to use in the background. In my videos I talk about the mechanics of your book, and the Organizer is one of the main tools I use for working on the mechanics of my book, for creating my characters, for creating my timeline entries and so on. So talking about timelines, I'm going to take you to what is probably one of my most favourite features now, which is the timeline. So Papyrus Author's timeline enables you to plan your book down to the minute or second if you want. Now generally these are called threads. I generally only use 4 threads, so one for the chapters, one for scenes, then events and major events or key events. But you could have a thread for every main character or for a story arc. So you can have as many threads as you want, and you can be as detailed as you want in terms of how you want to plan out your timeline. This is really great for keeping the pacing of your novel correct. So if you have to hit specific markers, specific time markers within your novel, it's easily controlled with the timeline. Okay, so now we've talked about the tools that are available to you for your planning. Let's talk about the tools that are available to you in terms of editing. So one of the things that I like about Papyrus are the timestamps that are down the side of your document here, which can be turned on and off from view. And timestamps are really great for keeping track of when your document was last edited. And if there's multiple people working on your document, it will also indicate who last edited your document. Obviously, because it's a word processor, Papyrus Author has a spell checker, but in addition to the spell checker, it has style analysis, which is turned on by this quill. Now, style analysis is kind of like having an editor in the room with you, just leaning over your shoulder and making subtle suggestions. It doesn't do anything automatically. It will just point out where you might be able to improve your writing. So I just turn it on then, and you can see that there's word repetitions. So it's highlighting the word repetitions, and you can turn that's just on basic editing level. As you turn up through the levels, it will give you a more in-depth or more scrutiny to the style analysis. In addition to style analysis, we also have the readability analysis. And what this does, it will check your entire document and tell you the ease of reading that each area of your book is. So again, this is great for if you're targeting towards specific readers. So at the minute, I've got it on non-fiction and more sophisticated. I can put it to fiction, and you can see then it just changed the colours of the paragraph to indicate the difficulty of the reading levels. In addition to this, it also has things like the direct speech mode. So if I turn on direct speech mode, I should have probably selected a better piece of text. So, okay, so we got some dialogue there. So if I turn on direct speech mode, it turns off all the text in your book apart from your dialogue. So by focusing in on your dialogue and ignoring everything else, it really helps you fine-tune that, because if dialogue makes sense when you're not reading anything else in between, it's probably good dialogue. And again, you can just click that on and off. So all of these are really great tools for editing, and they're very sophisticated. Also, the Thesaurus that the Papyrus Author has is really extensive and has been designed especially with writers in mind, so you'll see a lot more suggestions compared to your normal Thesaurus. Which really brings me now to the portion of the publishing. So all the icons that I've been using, you can also select from the author's menu tab up here. And really, you know, when it comes down to it, we're writers, so we need to publish our book, whether that's as an ebook or as a paperback. And I've never worked with a piece of software that exports to ebook as well as Papyrus Author. Again, when you need to export to a paperback to go to a pod, a print-on-demand service, you'll need to export to PDF. And again, Papyrus Author just gets it right every single time. Once you've done your formatting, which is a breeze and really fast with Papyrus, all its export formats are bang on. They're just perfect. I've never had an issue with them. And again, like I say, when I used to say, for instance, work with Word, you know, exporting to ebook could take me, you know, 2 or 3 hours. With this, well, I'll show you. If I click on and go to publish and go to ebook, I'm going to select Mobi because I want to go to Amazon. I go export. That's fine. And that's how fast it was to export. You know, there was, because Papyrus Author takes control of everything with ebooks, it's one click and you're done. So for as a writer, I've never come across a piece of software that's as functional and gives me every single tool that I want. It's just amazing. Okay, so that was just an overview of everything Papyrus does. I really can't stress enough how much I love this software. It is the most versatile software that's been created for authors I've ever used. So yeah, until next time, see you later.